Hey guys, just thinking out loud, and hope you guys are doing well. I'm sharing an old video. I know I'm doing this kind of weird with my phone, but that's okay. What are you gonna do? Go Jesus, go! All right, so this is me from about a week ago, talking about the 68 pattern, and I just kind of lined up all the days and where all the days equal 68. And again, I watched the video by Jarrett, Supernatural by Design. I've been liking his vibe lately about. He's trying to figure out when war may start and a reason why we're going to get raptured, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking that we should probably pay attention a little more to what's going on with Russia and world events. I think things are escalating. Not I think, we know things are escalating, which I think is the reason to be raptured, to be harpazo, to be safe and in the arms of Christ. But anyway, so one really fascinating thing that he mentioned in his video was the connection with Venus and World War I and World War II. So what I did was I went just a little step further. I took the dates that I've got here and I lined them up, and I'm making a hypothesis on when World War III might start. So for example, World War I, I've got it lined up here. I'll show you. So World War I, we had Venus in Leo. Okay. Again, sorry for the poor screen here. Here, I'll turn this light off. This might be better for you. Yeah, okay, so this is World War I date, and Venus was in Leo. Okay, World War II date, right here. Would you look at that? Venus is in Leo. So what I did is I took it a step further, and okay, when is Venus in Leo again, and does it line up with my 68? And sure enough, there's actually two dates that line up with this. Okay, so bear with me for a second. So October the 15th is actually the 68, and Venus is in Leo again this year. Okay, so in the fall 2023, October 15th. But also the sun on the 14th, there is I believe there's an eclipse. I should check that. Okay, so there you go. That's verified. There is a solar eclipse on October 14th. So basically the same within a day or so of, and I'm pointing it to it on my video here, October 15th, and that equals 68. Now, but there's another time that Venus is in Leo, and that's a few months before. I think it's July 18th. Let me get that up. Yeah, so here's our July 18th, Venus in Leo. So here, let's back it up a bit here. So we got July 18th. I'll back it up a couple days. So what happens is it approaches Leo. It's there on what would add up to be 68, and then if you keep on going, on October it'll come back in, and then you've got that eclipse there, basically right around here. Okay, all right. So basically, what does this all mean? And first of all, I think it's super fascinating that I think we can see the day approaching. I think we can see war looming, and so essentially, what I'm getting at is I'm trying to bring my studies into like not so much when the rapture is right now. Of course, we all want to get raptured. I think it could happen any day. But here's our potential scenario. I've got two kind of scenarios here that I wrote down here. I'll put this in better lighting here. I know it's so sloppy, but maybe I'll change my perspective soon. But so my scenario that I've been thinking about a lot was Hanukkah at midpoint. But let's go to this other scenario, which I think is a more popular belief, where Jesus comes back, Day of Atonement. In this case, it could be 2030. That would make the halfway point somewhere in the Passover season, but the starting of trib could be this 68, this October 15th, around this eclipse. It also could mean war. I'm not quite sure. The reason why I have plus 30 and plus 45 days is because it's Daniel 12, 11 talking about 1290 and 1335. There's an extra 30 days and 45 days in the last part of Daniel. It just so happens that there's 75 days between Day of Atonement and Hanukkah, the destruction of the temple, all these little events that have to happen before the millennial reign, establishing or dedicating a new altar. And here's the thing too, this Hanukkah thing, there's two things that Hanukkah could be. It could be the abomination of desolation, which I like as a midpoint, but if it doesn't get fulfilled at midpoint, Hanukkah could get fulfilled just before the millennial reign, at the rededication of the the millennial kingdom, the millennial temple. Okay, going back to this now, because this is where it said it in the book of Maccabees, early in the morning on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is the month of Kislev, in the 148th year, they rose and offered sacrifices, as the law directs, on the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had built. So essentially, the temple was desecrated by Antiochus Epiphanes IV at Hanukkah. But then a few years later, I believe it's 3 years later, I don't remember where it says it, but I'm almost positive it's 3 years later, on the very day they rededicated the temple. And really, Hanukkah is what it is because of the rededication of the temple. So it's important to understand both situations. So here's some other verses too. I'll read them too. Christy brought this up for me, and I think it's really cool. So the first one was, I got my pencils in here, so let's see what we got here. Zechariah 12:10. And I will pour on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplication. Then they will look on me whom they pierced. Yes, they will mourn for him, as one mourns for his only son, and grieve for him as one grieves for a firstborn. And then if you go to, there's two other verses here. This is Deuteronomy 34, verse 8. They grieved for Moses 30 days, basically. They wept for him for 30 days. And another verse that's a 30-day count is Numbers 20:29. Where are we here? And Aaron. So when Aaron died, they grieved for 30 days. So if we go back to this chart here, could this be the 30 days of mourning for the Jewish community, and for, at the end of Trib, before they restore everything? Possibly. So I know there's a lot of information here, but here's some more in addition to this. So July 18th, like I was saying, is another 68 of this year. So these are special because, again, we've got Virgo. Sorry, not Virgo. We have got Leo, Venus, and World War I. I'll show you again over here. Okay, so we got Leo, Venus, World War I equals 68. World War II, Venus, Leo, 68, World War II. Here's our other 68 pattern, which could be as late as this fall. Is this World War III? Is this the beginning of Trib? I don't know. Not quite sure. Some fun facts that are going around the internet too. 2021 plus 2022 plus 2023 is 666. That's interesting. Can't ignore that. 2030, which could be the end of our Trib scenario here. 20 divided by 30 equals 0.6666666. So we know what the mark of the beast equals, 666. The Jewish year, 5, 7, 8, 9. 5 times 7 times 8 times 9 equals 7 prophetic years. And that translates to the way that it is on the calendar, 2829. We still have a chance for things to kind of make sense by the end of 29. But anyway, it's just an interesting mathematical fact that we, why not mention it? So I'm hoping I'm making myself clear. I think I'm just trying to suggest here. Okay, here's the summary. We can rapture any day this year. But again, I'm trying to pinpoint the Trib and the beginning of the Trib. And, we've got this covenant with many in Daniel. We've got this 1290-day count to consider, this 1335-day count to consider, these two halves of 1260 to consider. A lot of things to consider. I think if we focus on how is this Trib going to play out, and we just know we go before the Trib. So if we can kind of focus our more of attention on how this Trib is going to lay out and play out and when it's going to start, then we can backtrack from that and figure out when we fly. So right now I'm just trying to basically study again the book of Revelation and Daniel and Zechariah and all sorts of things, reestablish a lot of my thoughts, and try and get us to an actual rapture day after that, after we kind of have our scenarios laid out. And, as just a simple thing to mention, we're in the month of Duet, according to the Torah calendar. That's the 10th month, and that's the month that Esther was brought to the king, which she was crowned. I can find that verse for you. Here it is, Esther 2:16. So Esther was taken to King, are you serious? Into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. So yeah, there you go. And we'll be talking about this 68 theme, I'm sure, a little bit more, and war a little bit more. And we might pay attention to war and escalation of it a little more, not to scare us, but to kind of give us a bit more hope. The more turmoil we see, likely the more closer everything is. So, guys, get tight with Christ. I have salvation verses in the description box below. It's all about a relationship with Jesus Christ. So get her done, and we'll see you in the clouds. One day closer. Go, Jesus, go. Love you.
Hallelujah, I'll see